Um, you've seen some of the veterans of the OLED industry do not have any hair anymore. I don't know how you manage it, you and a few others, but look at Mike Hack and Dr. Shid and others. It's all gone. That's what the yield improvement does to you. When I shipped out the first AMOLED product in 2002, the yield was 30%. But it took a lot of effort at Samsung to really perfect the technology. A lot of investment, and even after that, he still has all the hair left over. So, but anyway, the point is that the trends of the market and the ability to put that edge on a mobile phone, Josh, requires highly integrated Star Wars-like manufacturing, as he suggested. But that can be done in India, in my opinion. It can be done, but it requires a lot of know-how. You just can't walk in and buy something off the shelf and make things happen. But it's a good value add for Indian Make in India initiatives of interacting with overseas company that already has TFT fabs, but to do the last integrated Star Wars stuff here in India. That's my pitch in India. I think it can be done. As some of you may know from my old experiences in the industry, that's exactly how we started. We got the TFT backplane from another fab, another part of the world, and then integrated those in an OLED fab. Now, there is stepping stones here. You can't just go to flexible OLED to begin with. That's too much of a challenge. You have to start with the glass OLED before you get to the flexible OLED. And also, we got to not think of the same manufacturing process that my team put in almost 20 years ago into the industry. We got to figure out how to improve the productivity of the process, how to increase the material utilization, and eliminate the damn flexible, the fine metal mask. It's been a challenge for us for all these years. We got to figure out a way to remove that process from OLED manufacturing to be compatible with LCD manufacturing. Those are out-of-the-box thinking. You can't do this in regular production when things are, when you're under pressure. So this is the opportunities for R&D folks anywhere in the world, including India, to participate and contribute. So with that, I want to move to India. Since I mentioned India, Dr. Marwa is going to tell us how he and Josh and others in the industry have been working together to bring component manufacturing supporting the mobile phone ecosystem. So please give me a hand in welcoming Dr. Marwa.
Can you, Rajiv?
No.
Dr. Rajeswaran, Mr. Josh Folger, Dr. John Suk, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I am indeed delighted to be here today. And at the outset, I would like to congratulate ISA for organizing this event, Tektronix 2017. And as Mr. Folger has already covered the status of mobile manufacturing in India, including the complete ecosystem and how things are evolving and the opportunities. Dr. John Suk has given us perspective on the flexible OLED displays, how the technology is evolving, the challenges being faced. And what I will cover in my presentation is the measures that the government of India on its part is taking to promote the electronics manufacturing industry in the country. So while we have done very well as far as IT services and IT-enabled services is concerned, the last 25 years we have been able to build an excellent industry with our well-educated and trained manpower, and the efforts of the industry as well as the government, the measures, the role played by the software technology parks of India, the very good incentives put in place by the government of India. So all of that helped to grow our IT services industry. However, we did have a good electronics manufacturing base, but then we signed the Information Technology Agreement of the WTO in 1997, wherein 217 tariff lines in electronics, particularly the electronic components, semiconductors, telecom, and IT goods, they came down to zero. The basic customs duty became zero. There were no tariff barriers. And as a result, this happened in a phased manner, and by 2005, the entire duties on all these 217 tariff lines were totally eliminated. And our industry was faced with the challenge of now competing globally. So because of various disabilities that we had in our manufacturing ecosystem, particularly the high cost of finance, the high cost of power, the logistics, and the supply chain disabilities, our industry could not face the onslaught of competition, and many units, manufacturing units, they had to close down. The manufacturers started turning traders, and that was a difficult call for the government. And then we started a concerted effort on promoting this industry. So in 2012, after detailed deliberations, we came out with the first national policy on electronics. So under that policy, we gave several schemes and incentives. For example, CapEx subsidy was provided under the modified special incentive package scheme. It provided 25% CapEx subsidy for electronics for the entire value chain of electronics, starting from products to components to raw materials. Then we supported setting up of electronics manufacturing clusters, both greenfield as well as brownfield, and we gave substantial grants there. We mandated safety standards under the compulsory registration order. We did a lot of rationalization, tariff rationalization for several electronics verticals. As also for promoting innovation and R&D, we put in place the Electronics Development Fund. And for semiconductors, chips, an empowered committee was set up by the government in the year 2011. So it is still in place, and we are struggling with in having investment in the first commercial fab in India. So that's a big challenge that we are facing. And currently, with the present government, the Make in India program as well as the Digital India program, both these programs have electronics manufacturing as the key pillar. And the thrust goes on, and we have set a very ambitious target. We want to reach net zero imports in electronics. And for that, we need to build a globally competitive industry by, of course, giving a level playing field. So what we have done is we have not signed the expanded ITA. The expanded ITA, also called ITA 2, was signed in the year 2015. But Government of India has taken a decision because of the impact ITA 1 had on the electronics manufacturing. We have not gone ahead with signing the ITA 2. So that's the status. And I will start by giving an overview of where we are today. After 5 years of implementing the national policy. So as you can see, this slide gives a snapshot of the demand, production, import, and export of electronics in India. As you can see, the production is consistently increasing. In 2016-17, we reached a production of roughly $50 billion, up from $37 billion in 2015-16. And the growth rate of 32% was achieved last year, compared to 28% in the previous year. And the imports, because of the increase in production, they are coming down, although the total volume of import has increased from about $41 billion in 2015-16 to $43 billion in 2016-17. However, the growth rate of imports is coming down. Exports are stagnant, which is a cause of worry. As Mr. Fall just said, that we need to, for having economies of scale, we have to export. I mean, there has to be a special thrust given to export, otherwise we can't be globally competitive, we can't survive. And as far as demand is concerned, presently it stands about $87 billion, and it is growing at about 19% year on year, the demand for electronics in India. So as per the recent ISA Ernst & Young report, by 2020, it is projected that the demand would be of the ranging between 171 to 228 billion dollars by 2020, and we would reach about $400 billion of electronics demand by 2023-24. So this is a huge opportunity for the global community, global investors, the global companies to look at India and take advantage of this huge demand and the special incentives being provided by the government of India to set up units here and manufacture and make in India. Now, I will touch on the three major product categories that have shown promise and excellent growth in the last 3 years. Mobile handsets, it's already been covered by Mr. Folger. LCD, LED TVs, I mean, the production has increased from 12 million units in 15-16 to 15 million in 16-17. And LED products, this is another growth area which we are witnessing, particularly the adoption of LED lighting, replacing the conventional lights. This area is growing exponentially. There is a growth rate about 32% year on year. And the production accordingly is also increasing. A number of units have already been set up and new units are coming in for producing LED products. In this slide, we are captured as a result of various initiatives the industry has taken, the government has taken, how the imports have reduced. So we can see that the imports in mobile phones, set-top boxes for TVs, monitors, PCs, inverters, automatic data processing machines, microwave ovens, audio frequency, electric amplifiers, all these areas production has gone up, and the demand is being increasingly met by domestic production, and imports have gone down. However, the key area of concern is that this is mostly assembly. We are lacking behind in the components and semiconductor manufacturing. So that is a key cause of concern. And that is why, starting with mobile ecosystem, we have put in place a phased manufacturing program. So this slide shows, I mean, the previous slide was the one where major items where import has decreased. These are the items where import has increased. So these are basically, telecom items, solar cells and modules. So because of the growth in the telecom sector and the thrust given on solar by the government of India, the National Solar Mission, we are having an increase in import of solar cells and modules, although the production is also happening in telecom as well as the solar area. And as far as populated PCB, bare PCB, there also imports have increased because of the increasing assembly of electronics that is happening in India. Now coming specifically to the mobile handsets ecosystem, where we have achieved considerable success. So in the year 2015-16, we gave a differential excise duty dispensation in the excise rules available at that point in time. And as a result of which the domestic manufacturing industry had a duty advantage of 11.6%. While the countervailing duty on imports of mobile phones was 12.5%, an excise duty of 1% only without input tax credit was payable by the domestic industry. So this measure gave an impetus to the assembly, programming, testing, and packaging, what we call the 8.TP model of manufacturing of mobile handsets. So in this era, in 2015-16, the mobile phone basically comprised of about 14 sub-assemblies that we have identified. In the first year, starting 15-16, we allowed all the sub-assemblies duty-free. Okay, so, and if you assemble those sub-assemblies here and did the 8.TP model of manufacturing, you got this differential excise duty benefit. But then this was SKD level of semi-knockdown level of manufacturing. We had to move down to the completely knockdown level of manufacturing and thus promoting the components industry. So we put in a phased manufacturing program, a 4-year program, which was notified with the objective of substantially increasing the domestic value addition and establishing a robust cellular mobile handsets manufacturing ecosystem in India. So this phased program covers, I will show in the next slide, covers several items, and how we have done it we'll discuss in the subsequent slide. So now what happened, we moved to the GST regime in July this year. So this particular differential excise duty dispensation could not have worked in the GST regime. So we imposed a basic customs duty on 10% on import of mobile phones. And whatever items were covered in the phased manufacturing program, they were also put at 10% basic customs duty. So till the before July, we were giving a zero duty BCD treatment to cellular mobile handsets. But then we did an analysis, and since the ITA we had signed in '97, there was no commitment to have zero duty on the cellular mobile handsets. So we decided, since our manufacturing has picked up, we will put in the duty. So that we did, and as a result, about 107 new manufacturing units in mobile handsets, accessory, and components have started in India in the last 2 years. And these units are providing employment to about 4 lakh persons, direct plus indirect. And the production growth, as you can see, it was in 14-15, we achieved 6 crore units, valued at 18,900 crore, which went up to 17.5 crore units, valued at 90,000 crore in 2016-17. And we are aiming for 500 million units, valued at 300,000 crore by 2020. So this is our target, and we hope that with the phased manufacturing program in place, we will be able to achieve this target. Now, this program, PMP, as we call it, started in the year 2016-17. We started with the charger adapter, battery pack, and wired headsets. So presently, these 3 components attract a basic customs duty of 10%, and all the inputs for manufacture of these 3 sub-assemblies are at 0 basic customs duty. So it makes sense to manufacture in India, and a number of units have come up in these 3 items. In the current year, we have put imposed basic customs duty on mechanics, die-cut parts, microphone and receiver, keypad, and USB cable. And all the inputs for manufacture of these are allowed at 0 basic customs duty. So there is an incentive to manufacture in India. And the most important thing that will kick in, it will be next year, when the PCB assembly we are mandating should be done in India. So we will be imposing basic customs duty on the finished PCB. Currently, finished PCB is allowed at 0 duty. So that will no longer happen next year. And this program is well known to the industry as well as all the EMS suppliers globally. I have written to each one of them and stating that government is totally committed to this program, and we will be imposing duty and take all effective steps so for setting up the SMT lines and place your orders and take effective action as soon as possible. And so also the camera modules and connectors, which will also come in this program next year. Subsequent to that, in 1920, the display assembly, the touch panel, cover glass assembly, and vibrator motor and ringer will also be brought under this program. So these 3 items will also have to be manufactured in India and given effective duty protection, where on the finished sub-assemblies we will impose the duty, while all the inputs we will permit duty-free. So that is the plan. And this plan is working very well, and gradually we are moving to CKD level of manufacturing in mobile handsets. And Government of India is very keen to replicate this success in more products So currently we are working on a phase manufacturing program for set-top boxes as well as LED lights. So as a result of implementation of this PMP, the way it stands, for feature phones, the value addition will go up from 15.3% to 37.1% in 1920. And for smartphones, starting 10% value addition, it will go up to 26% by 1920. Now we are looking at further deepening. This is the first phase of the PMP. In the second phase, for each of these sub-assemblies, we will go down further and notify the phase manufacturing program, for example, for charger adapter. For each of the sub-assemblies of charger adapter, again we will notify to enthuse the industry to actually do the sub-assemblies and parts of charger adapter here in India. So that is how our plan is. And this is a very well thought out plan in consultation with all stakeholders. So industry is very well aware of it. And as a result, the industry should plan their investment in the coming years. So this is, the government of India is totally committed to this plan. And this will also be implemented in other electronic products in the years to come. Now, 5 years have passed since the first electronics policy. So we have started the round of consultation for reviewing where we are today and where we want to go, and the new initiatives and incentives that would be required. And for that purpose, we have already set up 9 working groups in different identified verticals of electronics. They are having their deliberations. And there's a wide stakeholder consultation, and I invite all the delegates present here, all the companies, to proactively provide inputs to the government for the formulation of the new policy. That will be very helpful. So with that, I conclude, and I urge all the entrepreneurs, the companies, global companies present here, to look at India electronics manufacturing seriously, and I urge you to plan your investments in this sector. Thank you very much.
So we started this session about 30 minutes late. So I hope you can hang on with all the tea and everything that you have already got into your system for lunch 30 minutes from now after the next speaker. So what I would like to do, and I think this is a very exciting incentive here to attract not only the mobile phone ecosystem component industry here. This is a good opportunity for the display community to do something more in India. I was talking to Professor Kim last night, Dr. Marwa, and he would like to discuss with the government officials like yourself what they can do from the SID to promote this activity for you. So maybe at the lunchtime you could meet with him and have some discussion. Okay, so